Drink Blood is here!
Drink blood.
Drink blood.
Drink blood.
Drink blood.
Hey, that's cool.
Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered. Excuse the mess, I'm a little behind, not really. A thin sheaf for later, but let's start by talking about what's been going on in my life for the last week, because that's what's important. Well, to me anyway. To you, I don't know what's important to you, but last week it was advertised in the Sentinel that the New Hampshire State Police was going to hold a sobriety checkpoint on Route 9 in Chesterfield. Well, they did, and I went through it. Well, I didn't go through it. I stopped and was checked for my sobriety, which was perfect. So they let me go. And as the cop gave me back my license and registration, he said, "Okay, you're all set." And he said, "Here, would you mind filling this out and mailing it in?" It's a survey. Yeah, so I figured maybe I'd just do it here at the beginning of the show. So in case any of you folks get stopped at a sobriety checkpoint, you'll be ready for this survey. Number one, did the sobriety checkpoint cause a significant delay in your journey? Not significant, but it was a delay. Do you believe sobriety checkpoints will deter some people from driving while impaired by alcohol or other drugs? No, I don't. Honestly, if they want honest answers, I'm going to say no. For one thing, they advertise it. So I'm sure, well, actually, I know the only reason I took Route 9 was because I wanted to know how good it felt, to be on the right side for once. To be able to go up and say, "Nope, haven't had nothing to drink. I'm cool." But I would imagine all the drunk people would have just taken another route into Keene for Brattleboro. For instance, 119, If you're going to set up sobriety checkpoints, just set them up. Don't tell anybody, just set them up. Say, "Surprise, bet you didn't expect to see us here." That's how they keep drunk people off the roads. Or set up right outside of a bar. Do you believe sobriety checkpoints will increase an impaired driver's risk of being detected and arrested? Maybe, yeah, if he goes through it. Do you approve of sobriety checkpoints as an enforcement measure to detect and remove drunk and drugged drivers from the highway? Sure, I guess. Do you have any comments about sobriety checkpoints? Not really. Not that I'm going to write down, I just say it here. It's easier that way. What's my age? I'll lie. Hold on, how old am I? 29. And what is my sex? Not very often. All right. See, what else has been going on? Oh, yeah. Wednesday, the day before we filmed the show, of course, I found out, everybody remembers, or those of you who watched last week, remember that I made the statement known that I was going to run for mayor. And I found out that I can't because I wasn't a registered voter. So I registered to vote. But there's a law that says you can't register to vote and file for office in the same year, or something like that. So I've got to wait to file. And all in all, it's like a lot of work to run for mayor. So I'm going to walk. I'm going to start a write-in campaign, which is the only way I can do it. I have to get a certain number of votes. And I'll find out exactly what that number is tonight, because Patty Little is going to be on No Spin, who she was supposed to be on last week, but Dan Eaton didn't show up, and Randy apparently felt like he couldn't talk about Keene for an hour. So they showed a repeat. It was a good repeat, though. It was with the mayor and Bill Gurney from the city, from the school board. So, but anyway, I'll find out from Patty Little how many votes I need to get in the write-in category. And, I mean, it's easy. BLOOD. It's that simple to vote for me for mayor. And then, we'll go on. And, I don't know, maybe we'll... I would love to be able to like, change things in Keene. But, I mean, I've seen Blastos as mayor for 20 years or something, for however long he held mayor, but it seems like it was an awful long time. And now preaching, and really nothing's actually changed. It's just, my point is the town. I grew up here, and it was funny because when I registered to vote, the girl, I can't think of the girl's name that helped me. It's a cute blonde girl anyway in the city clerk's office. She took my ID and she asked me, what my address was, and she says, and where was the last place you were registered to vote? And I said, I've never been registered to vote. And she says, oh, well, this is exciting. And I was like, not really. But apparently, maybe the first time I go into that little booth and close the curtain behind me, that might be exciting, because nobody will know what I'm doing in there. But I tell you, first thing I'm going to do if I'm mayor is to sit behind that desk and blaze one up. I will suspend the no smoking in public buildings every day at 4:20. I'm just saying. Maybe that would loosen some of those counselors up. And if any counselor said they don't give a damn about their constituents, I would flog them on the air. And not just verbally. But I was trying to come up with an analogy, and I came up with a pretty bad one the other night, having to do with dogs and things that they leave around. And Bruce said, you may not want to use that analogy, find something else. So here's the analogy I came up with for Keene. It's kind of like if you own a house, and your house is getting old, it's starting to lose a little bit of the structural integrity. The normal person would fix the house. They'd find the problems, they'd fix it. The owners of this house that we call Keene, New Hampshire, haven't done anything about the structural integrity of our town. All they've done is put on additions. It's like, oh, our house is crumbling? Well, put on an addition out there. Or another addition out there. Or another addition out there. No, don't put the additions on. My goal would be a 0% growth for Keene for the next 5 years. Say, look, we're not going to grow. We're going to concentrate on what we've got. Because for God's sakes, if you need another supermarket, you don't build one way out in the middle of a farm field. Give the people neighborhood stores. And for one thing, it'll solve a lot of the traffic problems because people won't have to drive to the store. And I remember growing up, I lived on Grove Street. I lived 2 houses down from where Shabbat's Oil is now. Shabbat's Oil used to be a little store, a grocery store, as well as the oil company. And also where the Savings Bank of Walpole is on the corner of Marlborough Street and Grove Street, that used to be an OK Fairbanks. There was also a building exactly on the corner that was Paul's Meat Market. Yeah. Before it was the meat market, it was a filling station and a service station. Then it was the Paul's Butcher Block, and then it was a bar, and then it was wiped out. And we got a bank. Like we need another bank. And I got to tell you, I'm a little upset at the banks this week too. Because I plan my checking account because I don't like to leave a lot of extra money in my checking account if I'm not going to write a check. It's just, I don't know, I'm afraid the bank's going to do something with it. And, you know, I got a bounce check out of this deal this week. And I wasn't thrilled. I'm not going to leave my bank and find another bank. I'm just going to talk bad about them on the air here. But this is TD Bank North, the same one that got robbed 4 times in 2 weeks. And who will soon be, I believe, just plain TD Bank. They're going to drop the North off because I guess they've got some offices in the South also. But anyway, I had $421 in the bank on Thursday, okay? Because my car payment is $400. So I said, all right, I've got $421. I wrote my check on Wednesday, mailed it in. It's got to go to Manchester. I take my check from Cheshire TV to the bank on Friday and deposit it. Well, I deposited half, kept half, because that's the way I roll. Whatever I earn, half pays bills and half is what is mine, because I deserve at least half of my own money. But what the bank does is when the bank gets the check, they deposit it into my account, but the cash that I had taken out of the check, they deduct that out of my bank account. So I had a $400 bank account. I deposited $200, and when my car payment went through, they said I only had $300 in the bank. And they bounced the check. Charged me $35. Yeah. And come Monday, I had $200 in the bank. So, I don't know. These banks better straighten shit out. You don't use my money to cover somebody else's money. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if my paycheck wasn't good, if the people that pay my salary didn't have enough money in the bank, my bank shouldn't take my money because they don't have enough money in the bank. I don't know. Anyway, that's my little bank, my bank thing. But it's all government, it's all corporations, it's all people, and I'll get right back to it again. It's people in ties. And I tell you, this is the death of America is the tie, because it cuts off circulation to the brain. And people don't think. They put on a tie and they immediately become like a lump of clay. Okay. You know, their brain cells just turn to mush as soon as the tie's on. And because that's another thing. I am so sick and tired of hearing our city officials say, oh, well, we don't want to turn into another Nashville or Manchester. We're putting these little ordinances because you don't want this to be another Nashville or Manchester. And the thing that makes me mad is everybody in Keene believes it. Look around. We are becoming a Nashville or Manchester. Downtown we're not, but when was the last time you were at downtown Nashua? You don't need to go to downtown Nashua anymore. When you say I'm going to Nashua, people don't mean they're going to downtown Nashua. The majority of people, when they say I'm going to Nashua, means they're going to Route 101A, somewhere between Amherst and Nashua. Because that's where all the big box stores are, and all the malls. And that's what we're doing with Monadnock Marketplace, with the place down on Winchester Street, Lower Winchester Street, the big field that they're going to fill with a bunch of friggin' bricks. For what? We've got enough stores. We don't need any more. All right. Is that all I want to say about the city? If not, I'll come back to the whole city stuff. Because, hey, I'm running for mayor. And, Bruce, can you run the email address? Because as a candidate for mayor, I would like everybody that's watching to email me And let me know what you think the biggest problem with Keene is. And I'll address it. And hey, you know, if it smells like crap, I won't tell you that it's a flower. I will tell you flat out, look, this stinks. I mean, that's what I do. Unlike the politicians who will sit right there and tell you one thing to your face, and as soon as you turn your back, they'll do the exact opposite. Because, see, they don't really care. They've got their own agendas. And even the master plan, which is getting ready to come up September 12th, is the next meeting of the Keene Voices, the whole building of the Keene master plan. And everybody's been saying, oh, it's the citizens are coming together to help, you know, with this master plan that's going to lay out what the city's going to do over the next 5 or 10 years. But it's not really the citizens. It's citizens that are there, but the government's got their little experts there to keep the citizens on the right track, you know? So how much of it is actually the citizens and how much of it is these, you know, so-called experts in the different fields? You know, and that's one thing that's got to be looked at. So, and it's not just here, it's all over with government, and I mean, court systems are out of control too. The story that hit on Thursday was apparently Leona Helmsley's will. Remember, she left like $12 million to a dog? Her will has been overturned by a judge. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Your last requests on earth. And some judge somewhere says, nope, nope. Huh? If I was her, I'd come back and haunt that dude. Hardcore. And she was what, the queen of mean, Andrea? Is that what? Yeah. Oh, I would be the bitch queen of mean to come back and haunt that guy. But apparently it's somebody's complaining because her money's going to nothing but the animals. But yet a huge chunk was spent on seeing eye dogs, you know, because you know how much that hurts people. And the Humane Society and all these other places that she wanted her money to go, but apparently a judge said she must have been nuts when she filled out her thing. So that's stupid. Anyway, all right. What do you think? I see Greg's got the spotlight on himself, so apparently he wants me to share. We don't have Jim because Jim's over at City Council. And I might say, Jim, you did a fine job on the audio check. This was Jim's audio check. He went, hello there. Perfect. So without Jim, we've got the camera preset to show Greg. And he'll look at the camera for a minute before he sets up for the booth shot. And in the booth is Bruce and Andrea.
We're already set up in here, bud.
Okay.
We had him take care of that already.
You guys are all right, man.
Trying to get ahead of the game. It's been a hell of a week so far, man. Stressing. I'm stressing. I'm taking on way too much mental stress at work. We got this big contract coming up with the swine flu I mentioned to you. 30 million pieces that the government wants to have available, but doesn't necessarily have to buy. But we're under contract to make it available for them. So they got us jumping through some hoops, and they're going to be cracking the whip and pretty much slave driving us. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm stressing over it. It's not good. I'm not in a happy place with my job. So
it's nice to see that Andrea's in there smiling at least, because when you guys pulled up and came up onto the porch, she had the most sour look on her face.
We were both dragging. But no, it's good to get out here, even though we didn't really want to come out here and play tonight. It's good to be out here. That way, it's a nice distraction. It's a lot of fun to do. We enjoy doing this every week. As much as we gripe and bitch and moan about it, it's still a lot of fun. So,
well, I'll try and keep it light and funny for you for the rest of the show.
It's been working so far. But,
all right.
didn't have a NASCAR race, so Andrea really doesn't have anything for us. But they did have a nationwide race up in Montreal. It was a kick-ass race. Marcus Ambrose drove a hell of a race all day long. He was perfect. Didn't make a single mistake until the final turn, and he lost it.
I
Boy,
thought he was
felt
actually
so
going to win.
bad for him.
But hey, you know, it was, I've got to tell you, that was, on top of just the fact that it was a road course from Montreal, it was the first time that I had ever seen them drive in the rain,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where they actually put the rain tires to use and the windshield wipers. And I mean, they were saying 160 miles an hour down that front straightaway in the rain. And you see some of those through the windshield shots, and they were just, you couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
But it's very cool.
Yeah, it was a wild race. That's the third year that they've had it up there in Montreal, and they got some really good NASCAR fans up there in Canada. So it's pretty cool track for them to race at. But yeah, this is the third year that they actually have
They've been up there
second year for rain, and so
Yeah.
it's been pretty wild. But
They go home if the guy falls out.
yeah,
And-
the Canadian fans, if they go there to pull for a certain driver, if their driver drops out of the race, they all leave.
That's what I was just going to say.
It was funny
those
as hell
are
when
fans.
Carpentier ended up going out early, and then, like a third of the stands got up and walked out. And we're like, where you guys going?
Yeah.
The race is still happening. But it was
And
pretty
it's funny,
wild.
they did have a record number of cautions.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, they had as many cautions between 20 to go and the end as they did the entire race, just because of the rain.
Yeah.
I don't think they got through one full lap in the rain.
Yeah.
Or maybe just barely one full lap before a wreck.
It's terrible.
But this coming week, they're going to Atlanta. I believe all three series are going to be there racing. But Atlanta's usually a very fast track. It's a big mile and a half. They usually do 200 miles an hour or better on the backstretch down there. So with any luck, Junior will have a good finish. He needs a good one for this year. And I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's a good show. But
Yeah, it usually is. Atlanta's a good track.
But
So,
that's about it for us, man. I'm going to throw it back at you.
all right, thanks, Bruce.
All right.
And apparently I'm on this camera over here, or this camera over here.
No, you're on that one there.
Am I? Number 2? Thank you, Greg. All right. Let me, there was something else I wanted to talk about real quick. Music Fest on Saturday. All day long, downtown Keene, filled with music. Pumpkin Fest is October 17th, hopefully the same day as Pumpkin Palooza, which Parker Springfield is trying to fight City Hall for. Oh, hold on. I got to sneeze. Maybe. All right, let me find. Philadelphia. On early Tuesday in South Philadelphia, state police pulled over 2 cars after they ran stop signs at 4:30 in the morning. The troopers interviewed the occupants, who they believed to be traveling together, and obtained consent to search the vehicles. The troopers found a coffee maker box in the rear cargo area of an Arizona-registered SUV that was full of heroin. Yeah, 5 kilos to be exact. $1.6 million worth. Busted because they ran a red light. Man, the guy that was driving, and his passenger were both charged with conspiracy, possession with intent to deliver, and related charges. And the driver is held on $20 million bail. That's a lot. The other guy's bail they didn't say what that was. The troopers also searched the second vehicle, which was a Pennsylvania-registered Chevrolet, and found a small amount of marijuana. And he was the one who had driven through the light first while it was red. He was charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and driving under the influence. Now, wait a minute.
Bunch of dummies.
After all that, they didn't even charge him for running the red light either. Unless that might be one of the related charges. But yeah, that would have been first on my thing. Running a red light, $1.6 million of heroin. Number 3, third offense, being stupid. But yeah. See, and if I had $1.6 million worth of heroin, I would stop at crosswalks, railroad crossings, everything, you know? I'd be doing like 1 mile an hour under the speed limit. You know, stopping well before the stop signs. Stopping at yellow lights. Yeah. See what? Become a heroin addict or a heroin dealer again. It's just like putting a necktie on, only tighter. Now let's take a trip into the court in Canton, Ohio, because this is funny. Apparently a robbery suspect who was in court couldn't keep his mouth shut, so the judge ordered that duct tape be put on his mouth. Bailiff, duct tape that man's mouth.
They couldn't
Yeah,
just
and that
ask
was-
the dude to leave?
Apparently not, because he was the defendant.
Oh.
You just don't ask the defendant, get out of here. We'll call you when we've sentenced you. Apparently the guy was 51 years old, and he complained that his court-appointed attorney wasn't prepared and angered the judge with interruptions. After a warning, the judge told the bailiff to tape Mr. Brown's mouth shut. That was the guy's name, Mr. Brown. But when the tape was removed, the defendant said, "Ow!" That's not really what he said, but it's funny, huh? The defendant said the jury wasn't being respectful, or the judge wasn't being respectful. And the judge ended the hearing and sent the case to the grand jury. Said maybe you'll find more respect out of them. Probably not. But that's funny. That reminded me of something, and then it just went right back out. I can't remember what I was going to talk about. Anyway, maybe I should start using Yahoo News instead of the FARC stuff that I got. Apparently you can sell anything on Craigslist. Sex, cars, children, parents. Some guy put his parents up for sale on Craigslist as a joke to pass the time on a rainy weekend. He was a 51-year-old Madison, Connecticut resident and insurance executive. He said in the Craigslist ad that he's gotten lots of use out of these guys over the past 50 years, but it's time to move on. Says he'll take $150 or a trade for a younger set of parents. An erector set or a hot blonde. Sure. Dude says he's got dozens of responses from around the country, including inquiries about who would pay the shipping costs and how many days it would take to receive them. He says his parents have a good sense of humor, and they took the ad in stride. But
And
that's
it works
funny.
out for them if they're interested in travel.
I mean, you see, and that might, you know, it's kind of like the Cash for Clunkers program, actually. A little bit. Hold on, I got to wrap my head around this one because what is this guy? This guy is a 25-year-old world #1 table tennis star. He's Chinese, Wang Hao. has been finally deemed old enough to have a girlfriend by Chinese table tennis officials. Apparently, you have to have a referee decide when you're old enough to have a girlfriend over in China. That's weird.
That might be saying he's over the hill.
It says he fell foul of the administration's rules on romantic liaisons 5 years ago when he started going out with a fellow player, Fan Ying. She was only 17. He was 20, she was 17. She was dismissed from the national team and sent back to her province. But now he's seeing former national champion Peng Luyang and has been given the seal of approval by the national team manager. Kind of weird. All right. And this is a great idea, too. Oh, let me get to this first. Greg, can you grab a camera and get a shot of this? I got to see you. I got to show you this. This is a dog that is. They're looking for his owner because it's a. Yeah, you see, a cop's got the dog, right? The dog was left at the scene of a burglary by the burglar. So, he broke into a school, and the officers found the small white Jack Russell Terrier at an infant school in Gateshead. It's overseas in the UK. And they've named the dog Bobby, although there was no name on his collar, and he's being cared for by the Northumbria police. They hope that someone might recognize the dog and lead them to its owner.
Why don't they just let the dog go and follow it home?
I got this number. We can contact the police in Gateshead and tell them that. So why don't you just let the good dog go and see if he goes home? Jack Russell Terriers are smart, man. Of course, I don't think they know for sure whether it belonged to the thief, but I mean, who else would leave a Jack Russell Terrier in a school?
And chances are the dog saw the thief if he was in school at the same time. He's a witness.
He could be a witness, that's right. Although he would not be able to be interrogated. There are...
Well, if they had a police dog do the interrogation.
No, there are still strict laws. As far as like... It's not Fifth Amendment, but it's something like the Fifth Amendment. The same thing applies to like wives don't have to testify against their husbands. It's a dog doesn't have to testify against its owner. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, I think is the legal wording of the law.
Well, then why will a jury believe a police dog over an average citizen when it comes to crimes that the dog says the person committed?
We'll see. That is another thing. You really want me to get into this, Bruce?
I don't know. We still got 25 minutes.
All right, brother, here we go. It's another great injustice in this world. Believing that a dog can spot a smuggler faster than a cop can. Because they can teach dogs to smell drugs and they can teach dogs to smell bombs. They say they can. I don't know really how they prove it. Because there's been stories about dogs false alerting all the time. I mean, and these drug sniffing dogs and things like the dogs that are in the airports, they're just dogs, you know? And I don't know, you know, as far as the Supreme Court went, I'm not really sure where they'd fall on, you know, illegal search and seizure. Will they only open my suitcase because the dog barked? Will he barked because I had a roast beef sandwich and my hands were all greasy when I picked up my suitcase? So the dog wasn't smelling drugs, he was probably smelling roast beef. You know, I don't know. But apparently, you know, we put so much stock in animals that we'll treat them better than, you know, we'll treat them better than people. We will take their word above people, which is just crazy.
Yeah, but they tell the truth more.
You think they tell the truth more? They also lick themselves.
Let's face it, Rick. A dog sniffs another dog's butt to find out who the dog is, and you're going to rely on that dog's testimony in court?
Right.
If he hasn't sniffed your butt, he doesn't know who you are.
Exactly. Exactly. That's, I mean, dogs sniff butts. So anything would smell good to them after that, probably. All right. But it's just stupid. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's another thing. You know, when your dog gets real sick, you put him down. When your parents get real sick, you put them in a nursing home to live out the rest of their lives. You know, because putting them down is inhumane. But hey, it works for the dogs. And speaking of other stupid crap, there's been a study done. New research, actually. I don't know how much of a study. The results are going to be published in the November print issue of Alcoholism, Clinical and Experimental Research. And the research shows that cheap drinks at college bars lead to more intoxicated students and more health and safety problems. Really? Maybe if they just gave the booze away, people wouldn't get drunk. You know something? If they paid these damn people to do this study, who needs to do a study like that? Like you can't stand outside a bar and say, hey, if drinks were $3 cheaper in here, would you tend to get more drunk? No. I'd actually drink less if drinks were cheaper. Retards. Yeah. Here's a good bit of research for you. Studies have shown that if you go to college and you drink, chances are you're stupid. Because you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college, you shouldn't be wasting your time drinking. Study, learn something, figure out our damn healthcare system. Don't spend $100,000, go to college so you can spend 4 years drunk and making cupcake paintings on your walls. And I don't mean paintings of cupcakes on your walls. I mean painting with cupcakes on your walls. Because I've seen people do that. Yeah. And it's dumb. I'll let it ride me into this real quick because apparently on September 7th or 8th, next Tuesday, when all the kiddies go back to school after their 3-day weekend, they'll be greeted by an address from Barack Obama to the students of this country. I don't know what he's going to say. From what I understand, he's going to say, hey kids, stay in school, study hard, be good. What can you do for me? I think that's, it's going to be something along that lines anyway. Fox News reported that he's going to, that in conjunction with the Democratic Party or whoever is putting all this thing together, is trying to ask teachers to come up with lesson plans that revolve around Barack Obama's, stuff, pretty much, what he's trying to do. And this is, I guess, going to be geared towards 1st to 5th graders, or 1st to 8th graders, or something, the younger kids.
Oh, the ones that brainwash.
Which is exactly the ones that they can brainwash. Like the whole deal with if the whole secret shit in school where they get your kids in there and they go, hey kids, if you smell something funny around your house, you might want to tell the teacher your parents are smoking pot. Yeah, bullshit. My kid ever ratted me out, that kid wouldn't be living. That's all I'm saying. You don't get kids to do the work that to push your agenda. Kids are kids. And any kid under 18 is, I'm sorry to say, not a legal person until you're 18. You are possession of your parents. And hey, as far as I'm concerned, if you need to beat your kid, beat your kid. But get the shit done before he's 18. That's all I'm saying. Parents have the kids from the time they're born till the time they're 18. If you fail, your kid's a miserable adult. If you succeed, then the government shouldn't have to tell your kid anything about how to act. You should have already covered that. But, I thought it was really crappy when they started doing that in school, the whole crackdown on drugs thing. And that was what they did. They went into the elementary schools and talked to kids about pot and drugs and the smell, and if anything strange goes on at home, tell somebody at the school. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's cutting right into the whole 5th, 2nd, whatever amendment there that, family testifying against other family. So, but it's stupid. And hey, if I want my kids to know what smoking pot's like, I will teach them what smoking pot's like. Plain and simple. We live in America. There are laws, but laws like that, I pay no attention to. Because you know what? I've got basic rights. And my rights, I do whatever the hell I want in my house. And nobody will tell me I can't. Yeah, music. 17, 16 minutes. All right, yeah, we can do the music. And I slipped back again because, it's the award time for us to send our shows off to the Alliance for Community Media for possible awards seasons. So, and I thought I had a great show last week, all except the fact that I had a copyrighted piece of music on there. And I did figure out when we went home and aired the show and watched the show, that one thing right at the end of the music clip, remember I was starting to say something and I forgot it? It was my review of the band. So, but they're good. Anyway, this week, we'll take you one last time into the past from the 2007 Music Fest. Tonight's Mom's Tattoo musical interlude is Long Before Techno.
Slowing it down for one real quick. This one's called Ill Will. Once again, my mind is reeling, trying to bring it in. No matter how hard I pull it, get lost in the wind, holding on tight seems so frail. On the verge of snapping back, so doomed to fail. Back and forth, I keep leaning, trying to make it right. Hours spent, push the day to turn to night. Time moves so slow when you live complacently, so don't think too hard about your life, or you will truly say, if you try too hard, you never get where you want to be. I said, move with the tide, let it happen naturally. Hey, if you try too hard, you never get where you want to be. So move with the tide, let it happen naturally. I just cannot stand your ill will. 'Cause you're moving so fast, baby, but I see you standing still. Life is too short, man, oh, why don't you chill? 'Cause I just cannot stand your ill will. Here we go again, I feel it coming on so strong. Knock me down on my knees and leave me wondering how long will this go on and bring such despair. Unexpected notion has this feeling less to bear. Round and round and round the years, so I just won't let go. All this knowledge till with no room to grow. Everything slow down when you take the time to stop and see. So take a look around, but don't forget to hear this warning. If you try too hard, you never get where you want to be. I say move with the tide, let it happen naturally. Yeah, if you try too hard, you never get where you want to be. Move with the tide, let it happen naturally. Yeah, how do you not stand your ill will? When you're moving so fast, baby, but I see you standing still. Well, life is too short, man, oh, why don't you chill? I just cannot stand your ill will. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, we're back. I'm just sitting here reading some of these weird facts that I printed out today. The space shuttle did go up. It's I guess it's scheduled to dock at the space station on Sunday and deliver the treadmill Colbert. So, yeah. They also announced, NASA announced that they're going to send mice into space, up to the space station to test bone loss stuff. Bone loss and muscle loss up in space. But, I don't know. Back in the 60s, they used to send chimps up, remember? And somebody said they think that Russia sent a dog at one time.
I think so.
But back when Neil Armstrong went to the moon, back in 1969, Neil Armstrong, of course, was the first man to step on the moon's surface. Buzz Aldrin followed him out of the lunar module. But here's something a lot of people might not know. When Buzz Aldrin walked out of the lunar module, he had to make sure that he didn't close the door all the way because there was no handle on the outside. They would have been locked out. How embarrassing would that have been? Hello, Houston? Can you send us a spare key?
It's a locksmith.
So, I mean, that was kind of funny. But here's another little fact about that whole moon landing. Because Neil Armstrong may have been the first guy to walk on the moon, but it was actually Buzz Aldrin was the first man to pee on the moon. Says he paused briefly to relieve himself in his suit's urine collection device shortly after he left the lunar module while being watched by millions on TV. Yep. He peed on TV. Yeah. It's funny because when Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho came out, back in the late 60s or whenever it came out, that broke a whole bunch of taboos in the TV and movie industry. Most notably, it was the first mainstream American film ever to show a toilet being flushed on screen. Yeah. And that was when Janet Leigh's character attempts to dispose of incriminating evidence. She flushed it down the toilet. Apparently that was the first time anybody had seen a toilet flush in the movies. That's weird, isn't it? And hey, if you've ever, like, had a hard time finding an ATM machine when you really need one, it could be worse. I keep telling Bruce, every time he bitches about something, you know, cold mornings or horrible weather or something, I always go, you know, Bruce, it could be worse. You could be on one of them crab boats. But if you can't find an ATM machine, it could be worse. You could be in Antarctica. There is only one on the entire continent, and that's at McMurdo Station. How about Thomas Edison? Famous inventor, right? A lot of people know he invented the light bulb. He invented, you know, the phonograph, the movie camera. What a lot of people don't know, he had a couple attempts at making concrete furniture. He made furniture out of concrete. Yeah. It held up really well, but it was a bitch to move. Including a concrete piano he made. And it never really caught on. I'm pretty sure that's, you know, it was the whole moving thing. You know, unfurnished apartments. Of course, if everybody's furniture was concrete, we could just have nothing but furnished apartments. You'd never have to have furniture.
Be a lot of one-level buildings.
You need, yeah, one-level buildings, definitely. And this I thought was pretty cool. Sigurd the Mighty, a Norse Earl of Orkney in the late 9th century, died after he beheaded an enemy in battle and then tied the head to his horse's saddle. And then on the ride home, his leg scraped against one of the teeth in the guy's head and he died of blood poisoning. Yeah. The Eiffel Tower can get as much as 15 centimeters taller on hot days. It grows and shrinks. It also leans away from the sun, and it can move as much as 18 centimeters as the metal on the side facing the sun expands. It's kind of cool. And a study that at the Bamfield Marine Science Center in British Columbia discovered that herring, you know them little fish, herrings? They appear to communicate with each other by expelling bubbles of gas from their bottoms. Just like that, Greg. These distinctive bursts of pulses were termed fast repetitive ticks by the researchers, or FRTs for short. And I might as well end with this one, because you've probably been wondering what the longest bird penis ever measured was. I'm sure you've been wondering that. Well, Now you'll be able to sit at the bar and tell all your friends you know what the longest bird penis is. It's the Argentine lake duck. The bird's member is shaped like a corkscrew and is 16.7 inches long, roughly the same length as the bird itself. So that seems like it would be a little awkward. So now you know. 19th century biologist Sir John Lubbock. I can't end with the penis one. This is way bad. This is way cooler. Sir John Lubbock experimented on ants by getting them drunk. And here's what he discovered. He discovered that sober ants would carry their drunken ant comrades back to the nest if they were from the same colony. But they would throw drunk strange ants into the ditch. Is that cool? Ants are just like people. The oldest bartender is retiring. He was 95-year-old Angelo Camerata. He's been serving drinks at Camerata's Cafe in Pittsburgh for over 76 years. Wow. Since the moment Prohibition ended. And he's now retiring after the bar sold. Look how cool, huh? All right. Here we go. So it's pretty funny because I registered to vote on Wednesday. I got a letter today on Thursday saying I had to report for jury duty. Funny how that works out, you know? Not really, but it's kind of funny, isn't it? I'm expecting to get called any time now. All right. I know I don't have long, but there was one that I saw and I couldn't believe. And I can't find it anyway. It's been another great show. Greg laughed a little bit. I don't know if City Council's done, but hopefully they'll be back soon so I can go home. Finish up. I'll say again, September 5th, tomorrow, is Music Fest all day long in downtown Keene. Cheshire TV will be down at Railroad Square filming from 10 to 10. The Pumpkin Fest is October 17th. Cheshire TV will be, I believe, in our normal spot in front of Miranda's Veranda all day long with a lot of the people who do shows here doing a spot from the Pumpkin Fest. Saturday Fright Special Spooktacular at the Colonial Theater will be held on October 24th. And I got to say, you know, it's a lot of fun having Mark around at Cheshire TV. I think it was actually in this one. I know, Greg, I know. You keep showing me those little things. No, and I don't feel like reading anymore. So, what else? There was something else I was going to talk about. Oh, yeah, the dog licenses and dogs and stuff. I was going to talk about that. We don't have a whole lot of time now, but I don't know. Why should dogs have licenses when cats can go? You don't have to be on leashes. They crap wherever they want. Nobody has to clean them up. I don't know. Anyway, I want to thank my crew, thank my sponsor, Mom's Tattoo. I want to thank G. Housen for providing all the beverages for all the shows on Cheshire TV. Up next on No Spin, Chris and Randy are joined by Patty Little, the city clerk, and Bill Harris from Franklin School and somewhere else. Peace.
Stop. There are kids watching. That's no way to teach kids how to behave.